Welcome everybody to Show the Plan Thursday. Thursday night, 9:30, every single Thursday. We talk about strategies and tips on showing the plan. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that's one of the, if not the most important part about showing a plan, and that's how to go and follow up from there. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people have heard scripts on how to get the follow-up process started, how to get people leading the people, how to, the science behind it, or the formula that it takes. But what I want to do tonight is talk about the psychology behind it instead, so you understand the concept. Because when you understand the concept of the follow-up after the business plan, there's several strategies that can work with different people's personalities that really can be effective. Now, there's certain ones that are non-negotiable, certain things that you need to do to make it effective and make it imprint, like JR always talks about, imprint properly. But knowing the tips on the why behind it and the psychology behind it will help you understand how to make it actually happen, instead of just having a script but not understanding why you're doing it. Because then, here's a problem with scripts. If you use a script to do something, all of a sudden somebody doesn't respond according to the script, and the script doesn't work anymore. It's not valid, right? But if you understand the psychology behind why to do it, it's important. So let me ask you a question as we get started here. How would you guys listening now like to have a system that's a self-fueling system that automatically leads to more and more people evolving into go now, get out of my way, unfranchise owners, exponentially growing in your team? How many of you want to have that? Y'all want that, right?
Yep.
That's what this process does. It's a science, and it's something that you can make an imprint into your team, duplicate, and then most importantly, imprint in your team, that the process just becomes second nature to people, like just as second nature as breathing, just as second nature as, writing, taking a spoon or fork to your mouth and eating. Second nature as that can be this process if you do it right when you first bring people on. So let's talk about the psychology behind it. What's the goal? When I get done showing the plan, what is the goal? What is the goal of showing the plan, right? Is it to get them in the business? No, it's not. The goal is not to get them into business. Is it to get them to buy a product? No. Is it to get them interested in the business? No. Is it to get them to want to get into the business? No. There's one goal of showing the plan, and that is to book a follow-up with them so they can learn more about it and get other people to evaluate it with them. Get them to lead to people. That's the goal. My goal is this. When I'm sitting down showing Stephen the plan, this is what I'm thinking to myself. Stephen, I don't care what you think. This is what I'm thinking in my head. I don't care if you have any interest in it or not, Stephen. I know, Stephen, you know two people who are perfect for this right now, and I'm going to find out who they are. That's my mindset. That's what I'm showing the plan for. I'm showing Stephen the plan because I don't know if he's going to have any interest at all, but I want to get him to understand this enough so he has 100% confidence to get me in front of those two people that he knows that will be perfect. I know he knows at least two. He might not know it, but I do. And I just need to have him understand this enough to confidently lead me to those people. That's the psychology behind this, right? All I need is exposure. All I need is people willing and able and comfortable to constantly just get people in front of this to evaluate it, right? Regardless of their own personal interest. I just want to work through people, to people, through people, to people, through people, to people, without anybody feeling like I'm selling them or trying to convince them. I'm just trying to what? Go through people to people. Stephen made a really good point just now. He said, I met 7 of them. Me and Kevin Ballard were on our way back from a Moving Up seminar. And we were on the plane, and Kevin said, this is what Kevin said to me. He said, Don, what I don't understand is, where do you find people if you don't use like online funnels? He thought about this in like a funnel process. Like you can use online lead sources. I've never done that in my career, ever. Have people done that? I guess, yeah. Have some of them done it successfully? Sure. But I don't think that's necessary. Here's why. Organic networking. People naturally and organically recommending people to evaluate this, anybody can do. And anybody can do it because we all have some influence with people that are close to us. So, but also there's ways to dialogue with people, right? So he said, Don, I don't understand. How do you find people once you don't have anybody more people to talk to? And I said, it's simple. You just have conversations. I'll show you. That's what I said to him. So we get off the plane and I said, all you have to do is start conversations with people. You never know if it would be a right fit for anybody that you talk to, but all you need to do is start conversations. So long story short, we get in the bus that was taking us back to the parking garage. I'll never forget, it was the parking spot, Stephen, the parking spot. Remember the old parking spot buses? So we get on the bus to go back to where our car was parked. And ironic enough, Stephen, TJ, I think 7 of them that were together on a trip, right, Stephen? Right? They all got on the bus to go get to their car. So all I did was this. I said, hey, where are you guys coming from? I just started a conversation. And I said, oh, we were here. Oh, no kidding. We were coming from here. And I said, what do you guys do? And they said, we work for, I think you guys all work, several of you worked for Amazon at the time, right? And I said, no kidding. I said, we work for shop.com. Shop.com actually pays us when we generate business for them, right? So we're not employed by them, they pay us. And it's kind of a cool system because imagine if you guys could be a part of the profit sharing pool instead of just an employee. Something like that, right, Stephen? I don't remember the exact wording. And TJ and Stephen were like, what? Listen, we got to know more about that. I said, listen, I can't promise anything. Let me get your phone numbers. We'll chat at a later time. And that's it. That's where it comes from. All you do is bring it up. Now, who knows? They could have looked at me like I was a goofball, didn't respond, and I might not have got there. But if you don't start the conversation, you never know where it'll go. All I'm doing is having conversations.
I still waited another 6 months after TJ went because I was still skeptical.
That's right. And that's fine. That's normal. Remember, all we're doing is planting seeds, right? And some seeds take a little bit longer to grow than others, right? There's nothing wrong with that. All you do is plant seeds, right? But back to the ABC pattern. As people and understand what happened was TJ led to Stephen, right? Huh. And it's a process, right? And that's how we all kind of evolve in this. So here's my thought, and this is what I do. When I get done showing the plan, here's my thought process. I have 2 goals that I need to accomplish. The first one is what I said. I need to book a follow-up with them so that they can get me to see someone else that's new. I need them to lead me to somebody. That's my first goal. That's my first goal I'm trying to accomplish after I'm done showing the plan. The second goal I have is I need to build their confidence and belief in me and the system also. So that's the 2 things that are going on in my mind when I get done. How can I build their confidence in me and the system while getting them to just naturally lead more people in front of this to either evaluate the business or evaluate the product? That also works. The ABC pattern process does not have to be just about the business plan. Like, let's just say I'm showing Gina the business plan, guys. And she says, oh, wow, I didn't know you had cosmetics and skincare. I am a cosmetologist. Okay, great. And she's more interested and excited about the product than the business. You'll get that sense. Hey, I really want to try these products. All right, Gina, here's what I'll do. Why don't we set a time where I'll come over and bring a few things to try? But when I do, why don't you have 2 or 3 people that you like the most and you trust their opinion on beauty products the most, to be there to evaluate the product too. Boom, I just did the ABC pattern. You see, it doesn't have to be so methodical and scientific. All you need to do is have a what? A common, simple way to get people to come and evaluate it through that person. Now, here's what I'm doing. I'm showing Gina how great this business is or how great the product are by having other people evaluate it. And when she sees them having a positive response, it shows her what? Wow, this is actually good. We actually show her that it's working before she even has to think about whether she wants to do it or not. That is the psychology of the ABC pattern and the follow-up process. That's what I want to do at the end of every single time I either show the plan or anytime I demo the product. Every time, that's the goal, right? Every time, I just want to get people to lead to people. So let me give you some other scenarios that we can do that with. So one is right there. I was showing the plan. Gina talked, she said, man, I love that. I know you had cosmetics and skincare. And I said, well, how would you like to learn more about them? Oh, I'd love to. Hey, listen, how about when we do this, how would you, right? How would you like to get some people to evaluate the product with you to get their feedback? You try it yourself and have a couple other people try it. If they like it too, they can be your customers if you decide to start. I can get you making money before you even start. Any orders that get taken on that day, if you have a few people try the product and evaluate it, it'll be, I'll make it worth your while financially. That's the first strategy of getting people. Now, here's a cool thing. I am now getting to the next level of people naturally, organically. And how many people see there was no pressure there, was there? Nope. I just want her to lead the people. That's it. Here's the best part. I'm making her successful automatically, but I'm also making sure I'm not wasting my own personal time. Because if she's willing to lead the people, now I know even whether Gina gets it or not, or she's just a customer, or she floats off in a never land in a week or two. I at least what? Worked the process and got people leading to people. So my business is going to grow because I'm naturally, organically networking through people to people. And you never know where the superstar is going to show up or the big giant customer is going to show up in depth as you work through people. You're just networking. Do you know that Dennis Franks was, I think, it was either 7 or 9 generations of referrals away from JR, meaning JR showed the plan to somebody who then gave him a referral to somebody else that wasn't interested, who showed him a referral to somebody else who wasn't interested, who gave him a referral to somebody else that wasn't interested, but he kept working through them, naturally getting them to lead them to the next person until he got to Dennis Franks, which is the executive vice president of the whole company now. One of the top earners in market America. That's how he became executive vice president. Because he worked through 7 or 9 generations of people to find Dennis. Now, if he took the time to try to convince Dennis, those people prior to Dennis, he never would have got a referral to him, would he have? See, think about the psychology of that. See, if people feel like they're being targeted, if they feel like they're being pitched, sold, you're trying to get them in, they won't give you a referral. You know why? Because they don't want their friends getting mad at them because they sick you on them and you try to pitch or sell them. But if you're natural and you are just organically networking and you say, Patsy, listen, thanks for meeting with me today. Dawn recommended me to talk to you. Thanks for giving me the time. My job here is not to sell you anything or convince you to do anything. I just want to network and show you what we do and how we do it. Right? All I want you to do is evaluate this because Dawn seemed to think that you may know the right people for this. And if you can, I can make sure there's something worthwhile in it for you. Thank you again for sitting with me. And then I roll her through it, whether it be a product or roll her through the business. Again, it doesn't matter what you use as the fuel to the process. It can be product or it can be the business plan. One's not better than the other. They both work. I think that's a mistake that happens in people's mind. They always think it has to be the business plan, business plan, business plan, business plan. But I'm telling you right now, the products are powerful. And if you are a product, junkie and you love the product, that might be your key to your ABC pattern. Using product to lead the people, product lead the people, product lead the people. Trial size marketing is another way, right? Getting people lead to people. So So that's that. It's all about the psychology of figuring out a natural way to get the people you sit with to lead to more people. I don't care if they want to get started. Here's why. If I get them to lead the people, they're going to want to get started anyway. Right? They're going to want to get started anyway. Maleeva, are you laughing at Joel's face? I can already tell. Joel's always causing problems, isn't he? He's like I was in elementary school, causing disrupting the class. That was me. I love it. Okay, good. So let me give you another scenario here before we wrap up. So you can be shown a business plan. Somebody shows an interest in a product. You say, hey, how would you like to evaluate these products? I can get you to try some things. Yeah. All right. When I come over, would you be open to have 2 or 3 people there to evaluate these products with you and give us their feedback? Let's test it out and see if other people are going to be interested too. It'll help me just get exposure regardless. You guys get that? That's the ABC pattern. I didn't say, hey, get people over there that might want to buy it. I still use the what? What's the key to the ABC pattern? The evaluation approach. Have people come and evaluate the product, give you their feedback. You see? That's a psychology. Here's why I like the evaluation approach. No one can say, oh, I'm not interested if you use the evaluation approach. So if I called up Art and I said, hey, Art, can you do me a favor? I'm expanding a business. I know you're busy. You probably won't have time for this. I just like you to evaluate it. I trust your opinion. I trust your feedback. I want you to evaluate it. Worst case scenario is once you see it, you might know someone that could benefit from what we have. I'm not going to try to convince you you just might know the right people. There might be something in it for you too, but most likely how busy you are, you just might be a good referral source for me, and that's all I'm looking for. Would you mind evaluating it for me? I trust your feedback. Hopefully you might be able to help me out after you see it, but I just want you to understand to be able to do that. Can he say, I'm not interested? No, because I didn't ask him if he was interested. And if he says, oh yeah, I'm not interested. Yeah, I didn't think you were, Art. In fact, I know how busy you are. I know you're too busy and you probably definitely wouldn't have time for this. But I'm just trying to get the word out about what I'm doing, and I could really use some support and your assistance. When can we get together so I can share with you how this works so that you comfortably can send me to the right person when the time comes or the time arises, when you find somebody who could really use what I have. You'll understand what it is when we meet up. When can we do it? You see what I mean? The thing of, oh, I'm not interested, it's not an excuse because I already told him he wasn't. And I know this, guys. 70 to 80% of the people I show the plan to aren't going to do it. That's just the numbers. Timing won't be right. They won't be looking. Something's going on in their life that'll distract them. Whatever. They're just not entrepreneurial. 70 or 80% of people won't do it no matter what. So the majority of people, I'm being sincere with, hey, you probably won't be interested. But guess what? Those other 20 or 30%, when they see it and you didn't try to sell them, the right person will sell themselves. They'll see it and they'll say, wait a minute, this is brilliant. Maybe I should do this. Because you weren't trying to sell them and they didn't come in with the defense up, trying to figure out how to say no and not hurt your feelings or try to avoid being sold, they receive it differently. And then all of a sudden, if it's the right thing for them, they'll volunteer and you didn't have to sell them on it. And it's not manipulative. In fact, it's the most honest way to do it because I know the majority of people won't. But when the right person says it, how many of you like this idea? Someone recruiting you instead of you having to convince them. Isn't that better? It's so much better. Let's have them recruit me. So here's another strategy of this. I get done showing the plan. And this is my favorite way. This is the one that now I'm going to adjust on the fly, Like today, I did one with Patsy, right, Patsy? Like we did one today. We did 2 of them today. The second one we did a tour of the site. We only had like 40 minutes or so. We didn't have time to go through the full plan effectively. So we did a tour of the site, right? We talked about some of our exclusive products and a little bit about the company. And we booked a follow-up with her person to not only see the rest of it, but to have someone she knew evaluate the product. You guys see that? That's the ABC pattern. And she says, and I think this woman will be great starting as a customer and using the product, and she's a big-time fitness and nutrition guru and all that type of stuff. But she might even like the business. I said, yeah, that's awesome. Let's have her evaluate the product. We can talk about the business too. You see what I mean? They both work. So we did it for Patsy today. It's all about just keeping your mind. However you need to make it comfortable for you right in here to get people to lead the people. And I like it within 24 hours if it's on Zoom. Now, here's the thing. The general rule of getting people to lead the people is within 48 to 72 hours. That's the general rule, maximum 72 hours. But here's what I found. On digital, you can do it faster and create momentum more effectively. Because on digital, the 48 to 72 hour thing is for people to do it when you're actually meeting in person and you have to get back in person again. So someone has to travel a little bit, even if it's like 10 or 50 minutes down the road, right? And you have to make it work in your lives. But now on using Zoom while we're still the next few months or whatever it is, while we're still kind of practicing social distancing and stuff, whatever it ends up being, you can do it same day and create momentum. The faster you get them leading the people, the more momentum it creates, and the faster they'll see it can work. See, here's the thing. Successful people like to see what? Action and results. So if you have somebody that's success-minded and they don't see action and results quick, you're going to lose their interest quick, and you could have missed your next director. So what I'm going to do is when I'm done showing the plan, this is the last strategy. But my goal is when I'm meeting them in person within 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours. But when I'm doing it on Zoom, I'm trying to do it within 24, maybe even within 10 or 12. So if I show the plan at 10 a.m. and I showed it to Deb and Pat, right? Showed you guys a plan at 10 a.m. 11 a.m. we're done. And at the end of the presentation, I say, Deb and Pat, thanks for evaluating. I know you guys were just checking this out. For your, for an evaluation approach, because you may or may not be interested yourself, but you might know the right people. Let me ask you a couple questions. First question, right? And you guys, this is right on the back end of my slides. First question, what did you guys see that was the most unique thing that you've ever seen before, or anything like this? What was most unique to you or different? Maybe a little intriguing. What was that? And you ask them that question. Not, what did you think? Not, are you interested in this? Not, what you want to, whatever, not, hey, you want to get back? No, you have to what? Make it natural. What did you like most about what you saw? Or what did you find most unique about what you saw today versus anything else you've ever heard of before? And let them answer that. Now, when they do that, you'll know what the next answer or question is going to be. If they say, oh man, I never saw anything like this before. That vertical structure is phenomenal. Like I've never seen 100% infinite search. Cruise get paid, no end of month. All these, when they see what makes us different, man, it's like light bulbs go off in their mind if they're entrepreneurial. If they're not, they'll say, yeah, no, I didn't really see anything unique. Okay, great. I'm not going to try to book a follow-up to get them leading the people at that point from a business standpoint. I'm going to what? Try to find something else. Hey, out of the products that we talked about, right? Do you see yourself as someone who really, really is health oriented, wants to stay healthy, or are you really intrigued? And you try to find a product that you can introduce to them and have them trial. Hey, would you be willing to try out a product for me, 3 days worth, and give me your honest feedback? We always do trial size marketing because we want people to give us some feedback on a product, and I'll send you a questionnaire to fill out. Would you be willing to do that? Right? So if they show no interest at all in the business, right? I'm going to do that. But here's why. Because when they try it, I'm going to ask them for referrals and get them to what? Lead the people. Now, if they want to say, hey, how would you like to be up for a demo of a custom blend that I talked about earlier? Because you seem pretty intrigued in a custom blend. Would you like me to do a free demo for you on custom blend? Sure. All right. When would that work? All right. You schedule the time. That's you book the follow-up, right? Now, let me ask you a question. My business is all about word of mouth. The day that I set your custom blend up, if you decide to buy it, there's a good news and bad news to that situation. The good news is I have a new customer. The bad news is I'm unemployed until my next custom blend sale. So would you mind bringing 2 or 3 people to evaluate the custom blend that night too, which would help me get a new customer? Right? Now, again, guys, I'm being a little obnoxious to this, but the point is you can get creative to get them to be willing to bring somebody, because that helps you. By the way, if you have 3 people that all buy the custom blend, I'll give you yours for free. Any way you can create a way to get people leading to what? More people. So that's people that don't show interest on the business side of things, which will be, so you know, the majority. 60, 70, 80%. Not going to do it. But they're going to what? Be comfortable to probably at least try a product, right? If they're not so negative, it's just not for them. You'll be able to tell. You can get them to try a product. Now, if they're super negative, this is what I say to them. Like, let's just say I'm talking to Pat. Pat says, man, I'm not interested in any of these things. You completely wasted my time. I don't like any of these things. They're all pyramids, and you can't talk them out of that. Say, all right, Pat, hold on a minute, Pat. Listen. No problem. I understand it's not for you. But obviously, from your response, let's just be honest with each other. From your response, Pat, somebody really got you before. Somebody really tried to pitch you on some multi-level marketing thing. They try to scam you into something or whatever. And that really gave you a sour taste. But that's the only reason why you're responding this way. This is different, but that's okay. I'm not going to convince you to that. Let me just ask you this question. Who was it? Who was it that tried to get you involved in something else that made you this bitter towards this industry? Give me their name and number. Let me see if I can help them get out of something bad and maybe have something that really is good.
It was my mother.
Right?
Now I know.
It's always Joel. I love it, Joel. But does that make sense, guys? So even if they're negative, if you're good and you can identify that, be like, oh, dude, obviously, Joel, somebody really messed you up. Who was it? Give me their name and number. Let me see it. Hey, you know what? You can even get creative. Hey, why don't we turn it on them? They try to get you involved in all these things. Send me over to them. Let's see if we can get them to this. In fact, if they decide to do this, I'll let you bring them on and you can make the $2,100 a week. And they were negative 5 minutes before. Do you see the concept here? Whatever it takes to get them to what? Lead to someone new. And then I'm going to get them to lead. If you just naturally get this process down, then all you're trying to do is naturally get them to lead to people. That's good. Now, my favorite way where it works perfectly is the minority of the time, 20% of the time, this will happen. 30%, this will happen. And here's what happens. You show the plan. You say, what did you find most unique? And they say everything. This was the most incredible thing in the world. I'll say something like, so from what you saw so far, is there anything here worth looking into further for either yourself or maybe somebody you know? Or somebody you know, or maybe even yourself. This is how I usually say it. And I say, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really, for sure. I mean, I'm really interested. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you find yourself? 1 meaning I'm not interested at all, and 10 meaning get me started now. Oh, I'm an 8 or a 9. Okay, great. Well, here's the thing. I can only work with 10s. I can't work with 8s or 9s. I can only work with 10s. So here's the thing. What I want you to do is I want you to evaluate this thing and learn as much about it and test this out to either become a 10 or become a 1. And I want you to keep coming back and learning as much as you can, as long as you want, until you either become a 1 or a 10. And whenever one of those two things happen, then we know that you're either not going to do it or you are going to do it. Is that fair? Yeah. And they'll say, great. So you're an 8. I don't work with 8s. I can only work with 10s. Right? So this is what we need to do to find out. So now what happens is this. First thing I need to do is send you some information so you can get more education. And I redid the follow-up email, by the way, that I used, and I posted it in the team page in a Word doc. So you guys can go get that and you'll see it, okay? So I just posted it up in there. Really good. I think I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did, right? Yeah. So you can get it. And I reformulated, I simplified, I shortened it up a little bit. And I also had a lot of wording in there on getting them to lead the people, right, in the process, right? But simultaneously, though, as you're going through that, here's how we test market this. Because let me ask you a question, Art. If I could guarantee this would work for you, you'd start today, wouldn't you? Yeah. Well, I can't guarantee that. until we know if it's going to work for you, until I know you're coachable, right? Until I know you can lead the people. So here's what my recommendation is. When we get back together tomorrow at 12, right? I want you to not only go through the first 3 things I send you. I simplified it. So 3 things on the email to get through. One's a 4-minute video. One's a little bit longer, from Mark, Mark Ashley talking about how we're handling COVID. And then the other one is a little bit about the business, right? A little more. When we get back together at noon tomorrow, we'll not only answer your questions to help you understand this more, to try to build you up from an 8 to either a 10 or get you enough information to go down to a 1. Doesn't matter to me. I just want you to have enough information to make the educated decision that's best for you. Simultaneously, the smartest way to test market this, because I just said if I can guarantee you would do it, let's get some people to evaluate this thing. Not because we want to get them interested. I just want to see how people respond to see if they're going to give you a referral or they might know the right people. They might even be the right person, but we don't want to assume that. So when we get together tomorrow, let's try to get 2 or 3 people, that's all, to sit down and evaluate this thing when we get back together, just to give you their honest feedback. Do not try to get them in, Art. That's the biggest mistake people make because people won't respond or think it's one of those things. Just ask people, hey, I'm evaluating something. I'd like your opinion of this, and I trust your judgment. Just help me make a decision of whether I'm going to do this or not. I'm not sure yet, and you're a very, very important part to help me make a decision of whether I'm going to do this or not. I just want your feedback. Now, what's cool about that is when I do that, Art, does that make sense, Art? Do you think that you can do that? Yeah, I mean, you probably have 2 or 3 people rolling around your head right now, don't you? Yep. Great. In fact, at this point in time, guys, don't even hesitate to say, well, why don't you call one of them right now? Let's just make sure that time works for them. Just give them a quick call and ask them, say you trust their judgment, you value their opinion, you want them to give you their honest feedback, unbiased, impartial, because you saw something, you want to know what their response is to it. They might even know the right person, that could be a partner here because you are going to be looking for partners if you decide to do it. May or may not be for them, right? And then you have them do the call themselves. The goal is making sure you help them understand the evaluation approach so they don't go out there and make the approach wrong and get blown out of the water. And then all of a sudden the next day they don't show up to Zoom, their phone's disconnected, and they're in a prospect protection program. How many people know?
Yeah.
Right? It's all about how you frame it. We've all had it happen, Yeah. They're bored, their houses, doors are boarded up. And the only reason, it's not their fault, it's our fault. Because we didn't coach them how to make the proper evaluation approach. They approached somebody, that person felt pitched, they blew them out of the water, were really negative. They try to find something online. They found something negative because you can find negative on anything because it's just like how politicians do to each other. They say negative things about each other to make themselves look better. That's what companies in this industry do, right? And then they find something negative and then they blow them out because you didn't what? Coach them how to get people to use the evaluation approach. So now all of a sudden, the next day, he gets on, right? So Art gets on and Art has, Pat and Jason or Jason and Steven on. And I said to Jason and Steven, guys, thanks for getting on. Art evaluated this yesterday. He saw some things that intrigued him. He thought of you guys as 2 of the people you trust their opinions most to evaluate it. My job today is just to roll you through this so you understand how it works. Not to try to sell you on this, but just because he wants your feedback. And if he decides to partner, he wants to know if you know the right people. If you don't think it's good, feel free to tell him. It's not going to hurt my feelings. And then I show him the plan. So Cash, here's the best part. I don't give a crap what they think or say. I know I'm just going through the numbers and I'm planting seeds and the right seeds are going to what? Burst. The right seeds are going to germinate and start to grow. And then at the end of that plan, I'm going to say to Jason, Steven, hey, listen, what did you think that was the most intriguing thing about what you saw today? And Steven says, nothing. This don't work for me. I love working for, FedEx or whatever, right? Steven, or whatever it is, right? Or UPS, right? What was it? UPS, right?
Was UPS.
Was UPS, yeah. Whatever it might be. I loved it. It was in the best, okay, cool, right? But Jason says, yeah, this is phenomenal, man. I'm looking for something. I've been praying for something, right? All right, Jason, the smartest thing you can do. Now look, hey, Art, check it out. You had 2 people evaluate. Hey, Steven, by the way, You might say, hey, Stephen, would you be, if Art decided to partner with us, would you mind at least being a customer of his and buying from his site instead of buying from Walmart? Sam Walton's dead. He doesn't need the money. Art could use it.
Yeah, right.
Right? And I say stuff like that just to joke around. And Stephen say, yeah, sure, I'll buy from Art. All right, hey, Art, congratulations. You're not in the business yet, but you already have a customer.
Yep.
By the way, Stephen, do you know anybody else that wouldn't mind buying from Art? Now look at this, guys. My thing is what? How can I get him to lead to someone else? Stephen, do you know anybody else that might want to be a customer and buy from Art too? That can help him out. We're helping him. Obviously, this is looking good because Jason over here looks like he's probably going to be one of, potentially, if Jason qualifies and he could do the right thing to let me bring him in, right? He might be Art's first guy. He's grown, but would you mind recommending people? So, Stephen, would you? Yeah, sure. Okay, great. I'm going to do a couple things. First thing is here's 3 samples. I want you to try these. Take these for 3 days. This is how you take it, blah, 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 right? And at the end of 3 days, we're going to ask you some questions on it, and I want your feedback on it. Go from there. It really is. Maleeva said it's way so much fun. It really, really is. It's an absolute riot. And all you're doing is figuring out fun, creative ways to get people. And it's so much more approachable because you're not trying to convince people to do something that's uncomfortable to you or them. All you're doing is having a natural progression here and having fun with it. So that's that. And then, Stephen, when we get together, we can show you the website and give you a full tour of the website. Do you know people that would like to shop from home and not have to go to the store right now in this current situation? Yeah. Well, when we give you, as you're trying these products, when we give you the tour of the site, why don't you have your mom and your uncle or something get on and evaluate how the site works too, so they can have a benefit to work from home. That'll help out Art too. That'll help them out, right? You want to help Art, right? Mm-hmm. Always. They're never going to say, no, I hate them. They're never going to say it. You want to support Art, right? Yep. Okay, great. That's how you can do it. Jason, but the goal is with Jason, he showed an interest. Oh man, this was the most incredible thing. Jason, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you find yourself? 9.5. Great. Well, I can only work with 10s, Jason.
I was just say 8.
I can only work with 10. So my goal is to get you educated up. I said the same thing until you become a 1 or a 10. Because I can only work with 10s. Got to be all in with me to be on my team. Not, part-time, but I want to make sure it's for you. I don't want to convince anybody to do this. I want them to convince themselves. So now he might say, and then I take him through the same process, but he might say, I'm a 10. All right, great, Jason. I'd love to get you started, but here's the thing. We both have questions. You're wondering if this is going to work for you, and you're a 10. Obviously, you think it's going to do. But I want to know if you're coachable. We need to have a little qualification process here before we can get you started. The qualification process is this. The only way this is going to work is if you can comfortably lead the people to evaluate the product of the business. Tomorrow at noon, can you get 2 or 3 people just to give their evaluation so I can see that you're going to follow the process and be a little coachable to this? If you can do that, I'm willing to get you started. Once that happens, I just want to make sure that we start this. See, guys, this is what I'm thinking. Inertia. I want to get momentum happening because once he's leading the people, things in motion tend to stay in motion. But if he says, I'm a 10, get me started, and then I register him on the spot, he's at rest. So the other law of inertia is things at rest tend to stay at rest. So now all of a sudden I registered him. He didn't have anybody in front of the business yet. And now he's stuck. And now we're trying to get him to get going instead of starting the motion first, which leads to him getting started. And feel free to keep this going. See, the faster you do this, you do 2, 3, 4 people. Eventually, you have a couple people want to try a run. All right, I'm willing to get you started now. But most of the time, they're going to come to you and say, Don, I got 3 or 4 people in front of this. I got 2 people that want it, and I got product I got to buy for myself. Man, I got to get started. All right, it's time. Let's go. See, more than likely, they're going to ask you to get started instead of you having to ask them. Just by naturally getting them to lead the people in any of these methods that we talked about tonight. But just get the psychology more than the strategy or more than the methods. The methods are going to be different for everybody. I just need to get a creative way to get the people that I'm showing a plan to or get the people that evaluate the product to lead the people within 24 hours online, 72 hours in person, 48 to 72 hours in person. And just make it natural and get creative. Get creative. Be relentless with it. Negative people. Dude, there's a reason why you're negative. Somebody busted you out. No, I don't know how to get in touch with them. Let's figure it out. Let's go on Facebook. listen, I can help that guy. And by the way, why not turn it on him? Why not make $2,100 a week off the person that annoyed you 3 years ago? Just get creative and have some fun with it, right? But for most of you that are on here, right, that are product specific, whether you're in the beauty industry, whether you're in, the wellness industry, using product to do this process is the easiest way. That's how Lisa and I build two different ways. My wife uses product to lead the people. That's what she does. She's done that since I met her. Because it's natural and organic for her. She loves the product and she loves to talk about it. Me, I use the business because I love the business and it's natural for me to talk about it. Neither way is right or wrong. It's just what fits our personalities best. But we both can pivot in the process, because if I find someone that's more intrigued in product, I'm going to go down that product route, even though I prefer to be in the business side. And Lisa will do the opposite. But here's the funny thing. When we're doing that, we end up referring them to each other, because I love talking about the business side of it. She loves talking about the product side of it. And that's a neat thing about your organization, having people like this. If you have somebody in your team that's totally pumped, or somebody that's evaluating that all of a sudden they're intrigued about the cosmetics, you can instantly get Maleeva involved, or Gina, or Vina, or whoever, right? Or Dawn, or whoever it might be. If they're big time in the nutrition, you get Dr. Sharon, or whoever. You understand? Everybody has their way, but you guys can leverage with each other as people lead to people, and then you guys can be the expert from afar for each other in the process moving forward. And that's how that works. Really, really neat. So I hope that made sense to you guys. I'm going to open up for some questions real quick. But just remember, it's all about the philosophy of just getting people to lead the people, and all these different methods. So when you get done showing a plan, when you get done having people demonstrating a product, when you get done sampling a product, your number one most important goal is to get them to lead to someone else. Get a follow-up where they're going to lead to someone else, or get a number for somebody else. You don't leave that without something, even if they're negative. That's because they had somebody else give them a hard time. Get that person. By the way, if they had somebody harassing them off MLM, they're not going to have a problem giving you their name, because they don't like them people anyway. So they don't care if they get mad at you for giving them their name. But you might say, listen, they might have gotten one of those because they were trying to what? Just make a better life for their kids and their family. And they didn't know any better. Now they do, because they'll meet us. You can change somebody's life because you got through a negative person to a positive one. Right? Just get, it's a science and it's magic, and it works incredibly well. That's the method. Any questions, clarifications, or of any type? I know that was a lot of info, but.
It was good. Good info.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Did y'all learn something new? Give me one of these. Did y'all learn something new? Yeah, I love it. Good stuff. All right.
These are spirit fingers.
Yeah, spirit fingers. All right. I am going to stop the recording. And then